Good afternoon, students. Today we are going to discuss about a story, how I taught my grandmother to read. Actually, the writer of this story is Sudha Murthy. Actually, she is an Kannada author who was born in Karnataka, and she took inspiration for her writings in her childhood memories because she spent with her parents and grandparents, and she completed BE in electrical electronic engineering and ME in computer science. The famous company Telco, the largest automaker in India, hired her as the company's first female engineer, and she is one of the trustee of the Infosys Foundation. Yes, she founded the Infosys Foundation in 1996 and is trustee N. or Narayana Murthy, the co-founder of Infosys, her husband. And he has written so many stories of collections, and she is recognized for his charitable work and his uh, contribution for Kannada literature. And some of her works have been adapted into television series. And she has awarded Padma Shri 2006 and Padma Bhushan in 2023 for her social service. So, okay, let's see the story. The story is about how I taught my grandmother to read. It's a short story by Sudha Murthy. This is the first story of her book in published in 2004. In this story, she describes the determined efforts of the grandma, a illiterate grandma, a 62-year-old woman, to make herself illiterate, educate. So she decides to read a novel on a particular time and sets a deadline to achieve a target. So Murthy always remembers his grandma, who was illiterate, to learn to read and write. She lived with her grandparents in village in North Karnataka when she was 12 years old. Her daily routine was to wait till afternoon to receive the morning newspaper, since the transport system was not good those times. So the weekly magazine would arrive a day late. Actually, the weekly magazine, it's called Karmavira. In Karmavira, there is a story. People are waiting for to read. So at those times, Triveni, a popular Kannada writer, popular in that language. Triveni, a popular Kannada writer, familiar in those days. So the village people excited to read the story Karmavira. Yeah, in the Karmavira, in which one of her novels, Kashi Yatra, was appearing as a serial. It was an elderly woman who had a sincere desire to visit Kasi or Varanasi to worship a lot. But in the end, the elderly woman gives her wealth to the orphan girl who falls in love but cannot afford a wedding. So she helped for a wedding. So literally, her grandmother also liked that lady. Okay, the grandmother, the name of the grandmother is Kristaka. Kristaka listens to the story while the narrator read the episode to her. Because she never attended school, she was illiterate, she was unable to read and she was unable to write. So one day, when the narrator, Sudha Murthy, returned after a week attending the wedding with her cousin, the neighboring village, the narrator is surprised to see her cry. He asked his grandma, "Grandma, why are you crying? What happened to you?" And she said, "I lose my mother when I was young. And my father was a businessman who married again. And she left with nobody to look after and guide her. As an education of women, she never stepped into the school life because I was married very young and I was busy bringing up the children and grandchildren. But she was regretted to not going to school. So we said that her children and grandchildren should study well. So it tells the narrator, when she away for a week, I was very hard to read and write. I was not able to read and write the Karmavira novel. And so I am feel dependent. I am not independent because I am dependent to read even a single alphabet. So this tries to learn the Kannada alphabet. So she asks the narrator to enable her to read a novel on her own and sets Puja Saraswati Day as a target because she wants to learn the Kannada alphabets before the Dasara. She makes as a deadline. So finally, the 62-year-old grandma wished to learn the Kannada alphabets and she started the tuition. The narrator starts the tuition for grandma. Grandmother, according to her, grandmother is a bright and hardworking student. She works a lot and puts a lot of efforts to learn the alphabets. So later, at the time of Dasara came, grandma learns to repeat, write, and recite. So the grandma takes the narrator to the puja place finally, and make sit down to its stool, and gift her a frock material, and bends down touches her feet. The narrator is taken back. Elders are not supposed to touch, but she tells it, I touch my teacher's feet, not my granddaughter's feet. So the narrator returns her respect and touching her grandmother's feet gives her to the first student. So the grandma receives the gift and finally it's open. It's nothing but Kashi Yatra novel by Triveni. So the narrator teaches her well so that grandmother attains the target as desired. She succeeded in making her grandmother as an independent woman and fulfills her wish in old age. So that's all about the story. The story makes how education important for girls, right? So please be educate everyone. Thank you.